In this exercise, I will show you how we can use the geometry of a 3D photogrammetry scan, like you see here, of an Apple smart mouse, and use this mesh as a surface, kind of like a 3D blueprint, to resurface. Here, for example, this is the end result. Then we will also add some geometry as indicator for the basic interface elements, lights, on off button, the opening for the optics, opening for the charging, etc. In general, this is also a very good practice to take objects, digitize them, bring in the mesh, and then try to resurface. This really helps you to learn how objects were made. And very often you can actually, after a little bit of trial and error, figure out the way how they quite possibly probably did it. Okay, so download the original file from the assignment page and we will get started with this starter file. The surface is pretty rough, and that is because in 3D photogrammetry you take photos from various points and then the software creates the mesh for you. And the mouse is actually very glossy, which is absolutely not good. So to make the surface not glossy, I put cornstarch over it, and this turned into this slightly bumpy surface. If you select the top and the bottom mesh, you see inside modifiers we have a smoothing modifier. We can use this, it shrinks the surface a little bit and filters out most of that noise. Okay, very good. This is not perfect. For example, here we can see it eats a hole into it, but it's for what we need to do. This is perfect. Okay, so how can we start? Again, let's try to take a look at this first. What shapes do we see? Well, there's actually a top surface, which is arced, and arc from here. So when I go to there, we can see this is arced, and this is arced. Okay, so we can properly create this via a flat surface subdivision modeling and then push the sides down. And here this goes up, but at the bottom this is straight. There it goes up. Yeah, and here we also have kind of like a swooped surface, so sub D2. It looks pretty good. And then from the top, the sides are somewhat straight, which tells me here I need to have these loop cuts, and then there it starts to arc in or bend, and even this is not straight. So also subdivision surface modeling. Okay, let's delete all this and we start with our first object. We make sure the 3D cursor is at the world center. Shift S cursor to world origin. Add mesh plane. Then we move this one up on top. Go into edit mode via tab. Press S and we scale this one down. And I scale this one down so it's kind of like here. Z and wireframe, so just a little bit bigger. S and X to make this also a little bit bigger, like there. So that's good. Okay, so taking a look from the side, I want this one to go down, but this is an arc. So Control R, click, escape. Then we can turn on subdivision surface modeling. There. Very good. So you see that this is actually too round. So we'll select all these edges but not the one in the center. And decrease this to 1. Very good. To work more symmetrical, this is X, so I can turn on my X mirroring and bring this one down to there. Okay, and then I can select this, bring this up. Yeah, interesting. Okay, so let's go to a top view. Then we go view, region, clipping region. And go to a site. We can turn this on in Subdivision Surface, and we can see actually our surface. So the center part here we hit well. Here we do not. This is actually way too straight. And even here we can see how this is pretty straight. So it means here we need more points. Okay, so to do this now, we can go back to view region, activate this one more time, then we get out of this mode. Control R here and escape, Control R there, click and escape. Then this we can bring down to the center so it touches it there, and then here we can bring this up. Okay, and this has to go down a little bit more. Yeah, here down a little bit. Okay, so there the surface is right on this edge, and this is all pretty good. But what's going on here from the side? There we can see that this all is actually pretty good, just not there. Okay, okay, a little bit more stunning. We also know from here this is arced, so Control R, the center, click and escape. Then I can select these two edges. We will turn on the Y, and we should be able to bring this down. And I pay attention to how here along the edge the surface lines up. Actually, these two I will select, push them and tick up. Okay. And wireframe mode, they're actually the two center points to click. Yeah, then we can bring this up to there. Okay, yeah. So let's go to our top view. We go view, region, take a look at here. Okay, so that tells me, as we can see, the center here is good, but there we are too low, there too. So let's bring this one up. Okay, yeah, this is getting close enough. And top view. One more time, let's take a look here. There we are still not hitting this point. So right here we need to have another point actually to move up. Oops, not edit mode. I wanted to stop this. So Control R here and Control R there. Then I can select this point, move this up. Okay, this might work. But then I noticed that here this is not perfect. So Control R, no, sorry, Alt Option, click on this edge. Here one more time. I hold the Alt or Option key, click on this edge. That selects the loop, then I can bring this down. Here I select the loop, I can bring this up. Because what I'm trying to do now is turn this back into a nice curve. Before, after we just added the loop cuts, you see after I'm adding it, how here this pops up. So a little bit of hand adjustments afterwards. Let's maybe turn this off. From here, how does this look? Yeah. I don't really like the flow of the red line here. This was much, much better before we did this cut. So how can we improve this? The problem simply is these distances are all uneven now. That makes it not so good. Okay, so we will do the following. The left and right side is good. So Alt, Option, click on this, hold the Shift key, and while pressing Alt-Shift, select all these edges, X, dissolve. These were actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cuts. So Control R, then we press 5 and Enter. Then we can still move our mouse and escape. There we are. So we now have made 5 cuts. So that's actually super easy and useful because now we can turn this back on and I push everything up. Alt and Alt-Shift, Alt-Shift, put then these up, and then Alt, put this up. Okay. So you see though, because of the edges being more even, when I align everything, I get a much nicer curve. I still have the symmetry here turned on, so I just only select these 2 points because that moves also the other points there. So here, this is good. Maybe this is too high. This down a little bit. Maybe this a tick higher. Okay. Let's take a look. Yeah, so yeah. Here, these points are still not perfect. So we go to top view, clipping. Take a look, where are we? And there we can see here I'm way too low. There I'm actually good. So just this midpoint I will select and drag over. And there, now you see, zip, this actually goes well. You go up a little bit, you stay where you are. Okay, beautiful. Cool. Yeah, very nice. Okay, in object mode, shade smooth. Also, we can turn on here matte cap and use this one. So we have a really nice and glossy surface. Let's take a look from here. This is actually okay. Because this is only 1, 2, and 3 to the end here, these surfaces get a little bit straighter. This is more arced. So let's see. Does this match a little bit? This feels more like a nice arc, while our surface here, that feels like an ellipse where the ends are stretched. So what we'll do is Alt, click on this edge that selects this loop, X, and delete. Then modifier, we will go insert a modifier, but to Y, very good. So now 1/2, we only need to focus on. We can actually now along Y, we can turn this off. Control R, we add a loop cut there. Very good. So now we go to here and wireframe mode, turn this on. Okay, and then B and select the top here. B, select this, bring this up a little bit. B, select this, move this up a little bit. There you see this starts to look much, much nicer. Go to a side view. Okay, there we see this is all good. Here this gets too high. So this point maybe down a little bit. there, and that moved with it. Yep, it did. What about this point? Yeah. Yeah, we can keep it where it is. Okay, so this was a very small adjustment, but actually it made this where I need it to be more organic. Okay, let's take a look at this from the top. Yeah, and the surface is too uniform to really see any change there. But when we have a matte cap like this, what I'm paying attention to is, does this light show any crazy deformations? So based on the highlights here, you can see what's wrong with that surface. And then now to how, ooh, there we can see there's a dimp. So that's actually what these matte caps are really very useful for. Okay, so I would say this shape is done. We have from the side outer edge a really nice curve, which then to the center maintains its curve. Just at this point it balances out a little bit more, and that's all what we need. Very good. First surface is done.